Business objects is the analytical tool provided by SAP. So in any company or organization, what is the role played by the analytical tool? What is the need of analyzing the data of any particular company? So if you take an example of a bank, let's say there are different roles that will be played in a bank. There will be an accountant, there will be a branch manager, and there will be a CEO for the entire branch. If you take an example of Bank of America, there are several branches for Bank of America across the North America as well as the world. And in each branch there will be a manager and there will be accountants who will be assisting the customers. So if the branch manager would like to know how much of the accounts are created by a particular associate, a particular employee, if he wants to measure the performance of an employee, how would he know the details? So he would have to get the data from the system on how many accounts each individual employee is creating, and at the same time even the CEO of the company would like to know how many customers are getting enrolled and how much is the transactions that are happening for the entire bank. So to get all this information you have to provide these data that is getting stored in the system to the end user. The end user could be an accountant, or he or she could be a branch manager, or even the CEO. So each individual in the organization will have a different requirements of what sort of information they would be interested to look at. So once they have the details available, they will be able to make decisions. Like in the case of the branch manager, if he wants to know how each individual employee is doing, he can assist the poor performing employees to improve their sales capabilities by knowing the number of accounts they are getting enrolled, and he can reward the employees doing well at the same time to encourage them to do much more. And in case of CEOs, let's say Bank of America CEO would like to know how many individuals are getting enrolled versus how many business accounts are getting created, and if he sees the numbers as business accounts are very less compared to the individual accounts getting created, then he can focus on marketing how the business accounts can be acquired for Bank of America. So information plays a vital role in how the organization will be improved or can improve their performance. So to provide this information, that is where these analytical tools come into picture. So SAP also has this business object which is used for the same purpose. There are multiple reporting variations that can be used to specific target audience to provide the detailed information or summarize information as part of this business object solution. So in this particular course, we will be looking at the two versions of business object Excite 3.1 and BI 4.1. Let's go back to the same example to understand what is reporting and how do we get that information, and what are the different target audience and how their reporting needs will be different. So in a particular branch, for the accountant, he would like to have a look at the data of the daily transactions to see any anonymous transactions. So he would be interested to know line by line each account how much was the transaction activity. Whereas in case of the branch manager, he would be interested in the employee level information, how many employees are there, and each employee how many accounts they are handling, and how much are the transaction amounts handled by each employee. When it comes to the CEO, he would not be interested in each employee level details because that would be too minuscule and there will be a lot of data that he has to look at. So he would be interested in which branch is doing well and what are all the areas that are not having much progress in terms of growth in the customer base, or in terms of the revenue. So he would be like looking at a summarized information for the entire organization of the company, whereas the branch manager would be focusing on the data for a particular branch, and he would like to see multiple aspects of a particular branch rather than just one or two measuring performances. And account level will be accountant will be interested in looking at a very detailed data. So for each of these different requirements, SAP Business Objects have a different set of reports that can be created. For example, for the ad hoc reports that are required by the branch manager, there is a tool called Web Intelligence reports. So the Web Intelligence reports will address the needs of the branch manager to analyze the information of different employees and their activity levels, as well as if he wants to look at any specific account, he can also do that by using different features like drill down and hierarchies in Web Intelligence document. And in case of the CEOs, he would like to look at a highly aggregated information at a company level or an organization level, and the presentation that we provide to the higher level management should be easy enough to navigate and shouldn't be taking much of their time. So you will be providing them information at a very high aggregated level, and with the presentation layer and the interactive dashboard that we can navigate to the information he's looking for very quickly. So the dashboards in business objects would address that purpose of creating those reports. And for the needs of the accountant who would like to know the detailed transactions on a daily basis, he would be looking at a lot of volume and more organized for a printing probably to verify the data after the end of the business day. So and for that purpose, business objects has a reporting area called crystal reports, which can create highly formatted reports that can be printed and analyzed. So we have a different set of reports that we can create to target the different audience. So where do we get the data from? Where do we get the data that we need to create these reports? So in any organization where there are a lot of departments involved, there will be a lot of software applications or hardware that would be deployed to address the business needs and assist with the business processes. So each of those processes will be generating a lot of data. For example, in the same banking scenario, there will be tools like you have ATM that will be generating transactions. You will have the bank accountant who will be having a teller machine that will be feeding in information to customers and the checks that are uncashed. And there are online websites that customers can go into and do online transactions. So all this information will be fed to different databases. So when it comes to the reporting, you may not want to get the data from those scattered information and then start reporting on it. So whenever you have a large volumes of data and multiple applications involved, there is a process called ETL process or data warehousing, where they would get all these transactions data loaded into one single system, from which the reporting can be done effectively. So ETL process is nothing but all these day-to-day process transactions. Those transactions will be extracted from the OLTP system. OLTP system is nothing but the transaction processing system, where you get these daily day-to-day transactions getting stored into databases, multiple databases. From these OLTP databases, you can transform the data in a manner that will be targeting the reporting requirement, and then load it into one central database or warehousing solution. So there are a lot of warehousing solutions that are available. SAP has SAP BW, Informatica has its own warehousing solution, and Oracle has Oracle Financials and other warehousing solutions. So once we have the data in the warehouse, then you can create the reports depending on the user requirement, what kind of information the user is requesting, and what level of information he would be interested in, and what is the presentation that would benefit the user in making the decisions. So SAP Business Objects is a good analytical tool to start learning, because there are a lot of clients who have implemented SAP as their ERP solution. Any big organization where they have multiple departments to handle, and the if the transaction volume between the departments is high, they would prefer having a ERP package that would be improving the performance of the company. So SAP is the best known ERP package. So there are a lot of companies who have implemented SAP ERP packages like ECC, CRM, SRM. So all those clients would have the reporting needs from these ERP systems, and SAP BW has a powerful business content that can go along with the ECC and other ERP packages offered by SAP. So whenever there is SAP BW, inevitably the reporting is done on SAP Business Objects, because of the various reporting audience that it can target, the dashboards or the detailed transactions, to the formatted reports or ad hoc analysis, or even the latest Explorer and other quick analysis tools that are provided by SAP. So SAP Business Objects will provide a full suite reporting solution for any organization. So as we discussed, once we have the data in the central database, we can create the different reports depending on the user needs. If the user is requesting a ad hoc report that wants to slice and dice, then we will be creating a web intelligence report. If the visualization that is expected is a holistic and summarized information, then we will be going for the dashboard. And if the report is for the printing purposes and analysis, then we will go for the pixel perfect formatting reports, formatted reports, crystal reports. So to get this data from the backend into these reporting tools, we have a concept called universe that is created as a semantic layer between the technical background of the database and warehousing solution and the more user friendly end user reporting. There is a semantic layer that is called universe that will be created in the business object. So there are features in latest version 4.1 where you don't need to really have a universe and directly connect to the SAP BW system using a new connection that is introduced in the 4.1. We'll go over all those connection details in the session in the course. Now that we understood the importance of analytical reporting in any company and what are all the solutions that are offered by SAP Business Objects as such in that area, we'll see what is the objective of this course, what are all the different components that we'll be covering as part of this course, and we'll also look at these tools, each one of these tools briefly to see how they are user friendly and how can we create the reports on top of them. So as part of this course, our primary focus will be to go over the architecture of the business object, what are all the different components that are involved in business objects, and how each of these applications, each of these levels are contributing to the performance of the business objects report. Now, what role they play in each year we will discuss as part of the architecture, and we will also see the administration portion of business objects, where we do how we see how we maintain the content and how do we create users and how do we assign them the role, and how do we manage the user access levels, and how do we manage the server, so that how to restart a server, how to start and stop a server, and how do we disable and enable the server. We will also see a tool called Central Configuration Manager, which is one stop for all the servers in the business objects, which has a component called Server Intelligence Agent, with which you can restart all the services in the business objects. So, and these two tools will be talking about as part of the administration, Central Management Console, which will be the focus for creating the users and maintaining the roles of the users and access levels of the user, and also manage the content like reports, how they are organized in folders, and maybe by departments, and depending on the access levels we need to provide the organization of folders. We can do that using the content management facility in Central Management Console, and we can also do the server enabling, disabling, and the restarting of the servers from Central Management Console tool. So the main integrations that we will be covering as part of this course is for the business objects, all the business objects tools. We will see how we can connect them to the SAP BW, which is a warehousing solution from SAP, as well as we will see how we can connect to the transaction system directly, the relational system. Let's say this small company where there's not much of a volume in terms of the data for the transaction, then the client may be interested to have the business objects reporting directly done on the relational database itself, rather than going for another warehousing solution. So in those cases, we can connect business objects directly to those OLTP or relational systems, the databases directly, and report on top of them. We'll also see how we can connect the BO systems to HANA and see how that integration works and how can we create reports on top of HANA. So we'll be focusing on the integration areas between business objects and other systems. One is with business SAP BW and the relational databases directly, like the OLTP systems in case of smaller companies where we have not much of the data and we can directly connect to the transaction data and report on top of it, as well as SAP HANA. So those three integrations will be covered as part of the course. As we go over each one of these tools, we'll see how the requirements of for that particular reporting is presented for the developer and how that reporting requirements can be transformed into what we develop, what different components that we develop. For example, if let's say user is requesting a report on a sales area and the revenue and the margin information, and you should be familiar with the integration systems. If it is a SAP BW as a backend, you can get the assistance from the BW team, it's a separate team for that, and you can have a discussion and then get the backend Bex queries that will be used for this creation of the report, and we can interact with them and create the reports on top of them depending on the objects that are requested in the user report. So we'll go through that process of how the real life project will have different roles and what each role will be, uh, what are all the responsibilities for each of those roles. As we discuss each of these roles, we will go over those steps also to get familiarized with the project development phases. Now let's have a look at these tools and what are all the different functionalities that we can accomplish using these tools. So starting with web intelligence. So web intelligence can be accessed in two ways. There are two applications that we can use. We can create web intelligence from. One is a desktop application and another one is a browser based application. So business objects application suite itself, you will be seeing them in two set of tools. There will be packaged applications or desktop applications, and there will be browser based applications that you will be having that you can access through the Internet Explorer. So the desktop application that you can use for accessing or creating the web intelligence documents is the web intelligence switch client, the package based application. So you can access it from the installation folder. And the info view as part of XI 3.1 and the DA Launchpad as part of 4.1 is the browser based application for creating the new web intelligence documents or accessing the documents from the portal. So this is the web intelligence client. So as soon as you open the application, it is asking you to select the universe. So this is the universe that I was mentioning about, a semantic layer that we create between the technical backend data and the end user's report. So this semantic layer or universe will be having the language which is understood by the end users. For example, let me take one of the existing universes. So if you look at this universe, you can clearly see from the folder names itself, this is the universe that you see here, and you can clearly see that it's something related to the resort sales and how many customers and what are the reservations. And if you see measures are the ones that you measure the performance from key performance indicators. So you have revenue, number of guests and future guests. So this is related to a resort, how much is the sales revenue from that for that resort and how many number of guests were entertained. That information is provided in this universe. So for creating a report on top of the universe, you just need to select the object that you are expecting on the end result and run query. That would give you the output of the report. So you are able to create this report from this simplified layer called universe, which is connecting to a backend database where you have a lot of tables and columns that may not be meaningful to the end user. So when the end user is trying to create a report and if he sees these objects, it will be easy for the user to understand. So that's how the universe is taking away the complexity of the database for the end users. So this is how you can create a report on universe using the web intelligence client. So you can create charts on these report, these tables of data that you fetch. You can create charts, and you have several options of creating the drill down features and several ad hoc analysis features that you can do. For example, if the user wants to look at the data by country or by research level, you can simply remove that column to see the data aggregated at a country level. So all this drill down and pre-characteristic analysis that users can do using this ad hoc reporting tool, web intelligence. So the other way of accessing this report is to go to the web browser. So you type in the URL for the info view. This is x3.1 system, so you'll be connecting to the info view. Once you log on to the info view, the view will be similar to the one that you saw in the web intelligence switch client, where you can go and select a universe to create a report on top of it. Once you log on to the info view screen, you'll be able to create a report by into document list and creating a new document here. So this is the portal where the end user will have access to the different reports that are developed for this. All the reports that are developed will be accessed through this portal. The users will have access to this browser based tool where they can go and access the reports and run the data, run the reports on a daily basis or the fixed frequency basis depending on their needs. And if they want to create new documents and for ad hoc analysis which are not part of the reports that are already developed by the users, they can create those documents using this new option here in info view. So this is the purpose of the web intelligence document. So as part of the dashboards, dashboards are highly aggregated information that is presented in interactive dashboards with a lot of features of enhanced navigation, so that you can get the information you're looking for very easily without much of the time involved, as well as the hassle of navigating to multiple pages. These are designed in such a way that the user will be able to get the information they're looking for in a quick views. So for example, if you look at this dashboard is nothing but an integration between the Excel sheet and the Flash files. So the data will be fetched into this Excel, and once we have the data in Excel, that Excel data will be represented in different components that are available in dashboards. There are a lot of components, and each component has its own purpose and presentation. If you see here, there are a couple of components that are used in this dashboard. One is a selected component and another one is a chart. So depending on the sales representative and region that you select, you are able to see the data changing dynamically. So these kind of visualizations will be appealing for the higher management, where they can analyze the data quickly and showcase the information to the customers. So this is an example for the Excel Shears dashboard. The dashboards are created in the tool called Excel Shears in X3.1, and in the latest version it is called dashboards. The tool name is called dashboards. So the next one, the crystal reports are formatted reports as we discussed. So you will be able to report on the transaction data in a structured manner that can be used for the analysis. Again, crystal reports is also a packaged application. You will be finding it in installation folder. You can access it from our program. So the crystal reports, you can access the crystal reports 2008. This is part of XA 3.1, and as part of 4.1, this is integrated as part of within the business object integration kit itself, whereas in XA 3.1 it is installed in separate license. In 4.1 it comes along with the integration. So you can create crystal reports on top of several data sources. If you can see, all these are the data sources that crystal reports can connect to. Inside this called a reporting solution for the enterprise. Crystal report for enterprise. It can connect to even the Outlook files and report on top of the Outlook files. Here is a sample report just to show you how the formatting can be done. Whenever you have a lot of data that is available in the database that you would like to report, and if it is extending across multiple pages, for example you have 807 pages of data, and it will be tough for the user if he has to navigate by pages. So you can do the grouping by specific field that would be more meaningful. For example, here it is grouped by year, so the user can navigate to the particular year directly, and each of these columns can be formatted dynamically to show different colors or different formatting in terms of the font size. All those formatting can be dynamically done depending on the value that you are going to get in that particular column. So that's why these are called pixel perfect reporting tools. So you can define how each pixel of the report should be displayed, and how that is controlled by the data that is displayed there. So these three are the key tools that we will be focusing on. How do we create and enhance each of those web intelligence documents, dashboards? We'll see all the options that we have, how each of the functionalities can be applied for a particular requirement in the reporting, and the web intelligence doc. So we'll also look at different means of getting the data connected to these tools, like how do we get the data from SAP BW and SAP BO into Excel CSR crystal reports, and how can we leverage the web intelligence document that we have created to use in the dashboard using the query as a web service. So we'll see how we can use those integration options and interfacing options to get the data from the one business objects tool to another business objects tool. So the content for the course will be shared with you. Basically, we'll be covering these areas that we talked about, and it also details in each of these topics what will be the level of information that we'll be sharing. You can go through the course content to get to know that level of information. So we'll also be discussing on how the development environments will be set up, and how the landscape of the project will be, and what will be the team size in each of those projects depending on the number of reports and the client requirements. So when it comes to the material, you will get the SAP standard certification material. We will be sharing that SAP standard certification material that we have, and there are certain documents that we have created with the detailed step-to-step navigation with screenshots that will help you to get acquainted with the tool quicker. So you will be getting those custom documents also for as part of this. The administration tools that we talked about, like CMC and CCM. And CMC is the one that we can access to the web with a web-based application, and the CCM is a package application that comes along with the installation, so you can access that from. So you'll be able to use the SIA configuration from here. If you want to restart the server, stop the server first business object, you'll be able to do that using the simple configuration manager. And the central management console can be accessed through the Internet Explorer or any web browser based application. This will have all the options that you can use to create the users and manage the server. This particular user doesn't have the administrator role, so you don't see much of the options here. But this is the tool where you can log in and do the administration of the content, users, and the server. We'll be going over a lot of real life scenarios as part of this course that will help you understand and to be able to successfully answer questions in the interview. And if you are interested in the certification, all the material that is required for the certification will be provided, and whatever course content that we cover will be encompassing all the concepts that we will have as part of the certification for business objects. Shoot us an email if you have any questions. Thank you, sir.